with Michael J. Nelson, author, musician, TV personality, and the second actor to play the part of Torgo on Mystery Science Theater 3000, which seems like...
I'm most proud of that last one, of course.
Maybe a great contribution to pop culture. Who knows?
Yeah.
So, Mike, I want to start off talking about, it wouldn't be your new book, but your latest book, Death Rat.
Yes. Let us talk about it.
Any bit of Mike Nelson in the character of Pontius Phoebe?
Not a whole lot. Aspects certainly, but I'm not a 65-year-old unsuccessful history author. That's clear. But yeah, there are little bits. His sort of he's always insecure, and I felt like that at points in my life and certain places. It's not very close. I've tried to look for the comparisons, and honestly, there's not a whole lot there.
Well, I want to stress that this is a novel. Your previous two books were, I guess, collections of humorous essays.
Yeah.
And this is your first published book of fiction. Am I correct?
Yeah, and let me tell you, I'm so happy to be able to describe my work. Not like it's any more enjoyable or rewarding, but it's rewarding to be able to say, oh, it's a novel, than to have to describe myself as writing humorous fiction or humorous essays. There's nothing more dull than that, and people just go, oh, uh-huh.
I was curious, though, in the book, have you had any bad run-ins with Garrison Keillor and Prince?
I'm proud to say that I've run into Prince nearly literally in the old days in Minneapolis when he used to actually appear in public. But no, I heard stories. We were out at we shot part of Mystery Science Theater, the movie, at Paisley Park Studios, which is his studios. So you hear stories. But as far as Garrison Keillor, it's just totally made up. It doesn't have a lot to do with him, other than the fact that he exists makes it possible for my character to exist.
I always have a strange reaction when listening to Garrison Keillor. I'm appreciating it. I'm liking it, that sort of homespun stuff, but I always seem to doze off.
It is. I think he's a really talented writer and everything, but I think the whole him being homespun and everything, there's clearly he has contempt for a segment of Minnesota that he also seems to entertain, which I always found odd. There's this audience of people he's mocking horribly and has bitterness and contempt for, and they love it. They're just eating it up. So, but yeah, his monologues do tend to be rather sleep-inducing.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, which do you prefer? You've worked in television and on Mystery Science Theater 3000, which, by the way, was canceled several years ago, but it still seems to be on. It's on every Saturday.
When they nixed us from the air, it was kind of like, we have to get that poisonous piece of crap off the air, And then now it's been on for 4 years since then. And like, hey, I thought you hated it so much.
And but which you also did music on that show. Apart from being a head writer, you also did a lot of music on that.
Yes.
And Mike, when is the band forming?
Well, actually, we did a couple of sessions as a band. All the people on Mystery Science could dabble in some instrument or another. And so at certain times we would have to get together and record music for the show, and it was great fun. It's always, it makes you go, hey, I could do it. Like every kid thinks, I could have a band. And but no, that was a fun aspect of it, but I think I get a little too much credit for the music because really all I was ever doing was aping styles and kind of, making it as fun and humorous as possible, but I'm not a very good musician.
Primarily, your focus is on writing now.
Well, it is. I do mostly writing, but writing novels and writing short pieces of humorous essays, it tends to drive you somewhat mad, and it's just not as fun. I mean, I enjoy it. It's rewarding in its own ways and in a different way, but it's not a real fun thing to do because you don't just sit there by yourself having fun. That's just weird. So, to be in a room full of incredibly funny and entertaining people who you happen to like a lot is certainly much better. And so, yeah, I mean, if I'm always sort of looking to get that aspect back in my life, too. And, working on several projects right now that hopefully will see the light of day, and I can get that aspect of my life as well.
Would this be for television or film?
Actually for radio and a television show, too. But
oh, excellent. This would be radio theater?
No, it would be, well, if I said it...
Oh, that's right. Someone would cop it, and that would be the end of it.
No, it would be that the company that I'm working for would eliminate me because I spoke out.
Well, there is apparently a new DVD set of Mystery Science Theater programs coming out from Rhino, I believe.
Yes.
In November, and you've had something to do with that. You did intros for them?
I'm actually going to be shooting them. This is how quick the turnaround is on them. I'm going to be shooting them sometime in the very near future, so I haven't done them yet, actually.
Is this the Jack Perkins Mike Nelson?
No, this... Although I'm probably starting to look a little more like him now, just naturally. But no, this will just be the Mike Nelson.
Do you ever feel like William Shatner? This is going to be hounding you for the rest of your life?
No, I don't. I enjoy, talking about it. It's not like I don't live it, and it's not the only thing that I do. And I don't know anything about Shatner's life after Star Trek, but it comes up fairly infrequently, the mystery science part of it, because I'm doing all these other projects, and I'm working hard. And if people remember me for one project more than others, it doesn't bother me. I mean, that's clearly the one that's had the most public exposure and been the one that made my name, whatever, such as it is. So, but no, it doesn't trouble me because I don't have to make my living, just doing conventions or anything like that. But I can see if that was if you were just an actor and then you just had one role and then that was it and you kind of had to live off it. I can see where that would, make you a little bitter.
Well, if Shatner's life after Star Trek, you really need to check out the film The Devil's Reign with Ernest Borgnine. Yeah, and Shatner and John Travolta in a non-speaking role.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was his first role. Yeah, he plays a zombie, I believe, who falls down a flight of stairs. It's actually better than Battlefield Earth, really.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Good.
Not much of an accomplishment, I guess.
No.
I read your pal Kevin Murphy's book.
Yes.
A Year at the Movies. And, that book was more, it wasn't really a book of movie reviews or anything like that. It was more about the experience of going to the movies.
Yes.
And he wanted to experience a movie date.
Yeah.
And he asked your wife to go with him. I just wondered, did you have any ground rules for that?
Well, I had a fair amount of trust in my wife. Kevin is a loose cannon,
Yeah.
No, it was quite funny when he showed up. I think we had a meeting on some other project the day before, and then he said, "Oh, I'm showing up for that date with Bridget tomorrow." Like, oh, that's right. So no, it was all in good fun, and I trust him implicitly.
Yeah. Well, we're going all over the map here. My questions don't seem to lead to one particular train of thought, so I'm gonna throw this at you. Can you explain to me your fascination with the film Roadhouse? Is it possible to be explained?
It is purely. It is. I'm sorry, my wife just stuck her head in there right after hearing Roadhouse, so I was wondering what it was. Are you talking about that again? No. I watched it years ago with a friend recommended it. He said that he was in the Gulf War and that he used to watch it nearly every night. And he sort of passed on that appreciation to me that, you really have to watch it over and over again. And I find that to be true. And even when I go back to it now, I still find myself, there's so many classic lines. and it's just such a good bad movie, so entertaining in a way that most bad movies fail to be entertaining all the way through. You know, like Reefer Madness
Right.
is entertaining in spots, but there's a lot of stuff that could go in that. And Roadhouse just keeps being bad and entertaining.
See, now I'm curious if the DVD has a commentary from Swayze running through.
I actually haven't got it yet. I got to get the DVD because I have the pristine Laserdisc version of it, and there is no track there.
The Criterion collection of Roadhouse?
Of course.
Yeah. Before you got involved with writing for Mystery Science Theater 3000, you had a variety of jobs in the fast food industry.
Yeah, well, it is mostly in the slightly fast food industry. I worked at a TGI Fridays, and I also worked for a cheese factory, which I guess you can't really call it fast food, but
No.
yeah, I worked in various aspects of the food service industry.
Now, were you doing stand-up at the same time you were doing this?
Yes.
I see. Well, the reason I ask is because I was just wondering, where do they get that stuff they put on the walls at TGIF? The picture of Marilyn Monroe and like half a football.
Yeah, I had to. This is. It's funny you bring that up. We had these days where you'd have to come in, I don't know, once every week, and you'd have to kind of vacuum the mousse off and stuff.
Right.
And that was always that was the lowest job you could get. You know, you'd have to go polish the half a football, and that was pretty lame. But when I was there, see, this is the point of pride. They were actual antiques and actual finds, and now they're of course manufactured in Taiwan and stapled
Right.
up to the walls. Now it's sort of they've trashed the brand as far as I'm concerned.
It's an industry now, making that stuff. So you went from that to who did you first get in contact with regarding the show? I guess the show was on UHF station at the time.
Yes, it was, and my friend Josh Weinstein, who was there at that point, and then was there for the first season on Comedy Central, or actually Comedy Channel, it would have been back then.
Right.
He made me aware of it, and he put in a word for me and said, "You should come down and meet the guys, and do some typing for them." So I did, and we just kind of hit it off, and I stayed on.
And
Quit the waitering job.
And Josh has sort of become like a TV kingpin.
Yeah, there is another Josh Weinstein though, and a lot of people confuse their work. They're almost work in identical fields. The other guy was on The Simpsons and was on some other shows, and Josh does almost the same thing.
I was thinking, but more along the lines of Freaks and Geeks.
Yep, Freaks and Geeks was the actual Josh Weinstein that I know, and America's Funniest Home Video. He did a few UPN shows for a while, and some other projects. I know he does a lot of TV specials and things like that. So, yes, he is rocking and rolling out there.
Hang on for a minute, Mike. We're up.